Hi there once again. Great to have you with us on this week's Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. We are going to start off this week looking ahead to the fall. No, not pumpkin spice and the Christmas trees that are put up way too early. No, we're talking about a planned event that some believe could change the game for the I-75 corridor. One of those individuals is with us today, Bruce Rumpf. He is part of a group looking to make sure that the opening of the Gordie Howe International Bridge, linking the U.S. and Canada, is a big moment for us, especially here in Toledo. And Bruce is here to talk with us today about O Canada Fest. First and foremost, and the newsroom is included in this,
yes.
This is not a festival thinking in terms of Jeep Fest.
No.
It's a way of thinking.
It's total economic development. And Jeff, as we've talked prior, is that when I started my career, between big banks, big business, and utility companies, they occupy millions of square feet in our downtown. Today, collectively, they may not have 150,000 or in downsizing. So a tremendous change from where it was to where it is. So the question always comes up, leadership, and what is going to make our community participate in economic development? This isn't about jobs. I get tired of talking about jobs. It's great to have jobs and that kind of stuff. What kind of jobs? And what kind of opportunities do you have in your community? Your kids to stay, your kids to come back, okay? Your parents to stay. So there's a lot of those things going on. And so I happened to get invited to the University of Toledo on global supply chain. Now, I'm an HR guy at Job One USA.
Yeah.
And so they invited me, and so...
Which, when you say it's not about jobs, that's kind of ironic,
well,
isn't it?
It is kind of ironic, because, yes, that's what we do.
Yeah.
But in this case, our community has to start to understand what economic development is, what it means, and how do we get there.
What does economic development look like to you? How do you define it?
Economic development means is that you have a community that is creating state-of-the-art employment, state-of-the-art companies that expand beyond the borders of Toledo. You know, what's Coca-Cola worth to Atlanta, Georgia? A lot.
Right.
Why? Because they sell Coke around the
global.
world.
Right.
You know, we ourselves are in about 28 states at this point, and so we bring the money back to Toledo and those kinds of things.
Owens Corning's a good example of that. They
Yes.
think in global terms, right?
Yeah. The difference is, though, and I'm not pointing fingers, but rather just doing an analysis. In my career, big business, big banks, big utilities drove the community. What do we need to do? How do we need to do it? In today's world, you don't see the participation level. If I was to ask anybody, the chairman of all the big companies, whether it's Anderson's or OI or Dana, the chances are you won't know. There's a little bit of a shift into, are they responsible for the community where their employees work or not? So, economic development. So I'm on this global supply chain, which has become sexy because of the pandemic.
Sure.
Everything in the studio, including the clothes, had to get here. How does it get there? Well, at the same time, I'm on the convention board, and Whitney Rofka is new on the board. I'm sitting next to her, and I'm thinking about Jeep Fest. And then I'm thinking about the Gordie Howe International Bridge, and thinking to myself, could be the greatest economic boon our community of Northwest Ohio is ever going to see. Okay, 40% of all the exports in Ohio go to Canada. 750,000 Canadians, Jeff, drive through our town. Tourism and trade could change the dynamics of this community, and we're sitting in the catbird seat, and Canada is paying for the whole bridge, $6 billion.
And now I know you mentioned tourism, you mentioned the economic development, but how does one structure that we're looking at right here, these are updated photos from the Bridge Authority. We want to thank them for that video that they've posted online. But how does this one structure, how is it a game changer?
Yeah, you know, I kind of feel like if we went back to 1869 and we're talking to the Roebling family who built the Brooklyn Bridge, started in 1869, I think people like us would say, well, what does this bridge mean to New York? We're already New York. Bridges are, and international bridges, are amazing, and this is a technology wonder. This is going to allow all of the commerce are going to truckers. I can't wait for this to open. It doesn't dump you out in downtown Windsor or Detroit, connected to the interstate, high tech, security, inspection, going through quickly. Sure. They don't close down. The Ambassador's Bridge will close. They have to redirect the traffic. So it's going to mean a tremendous lot to our economy. And as our economy changes, driverless trucks. are around the corner. They just did 4 trucks on 71 from Cleveland to Columbus with only the front truck having a driver. I told you about Tesla, that they just delivered a Tesla from the plant to the new buyer without a driver. So technology and the bridge is really what's going to make this happen. And we're sitting right here.
I want to talk about the players, especially the grouping that you said that exists right now, who are so adamant about what this is going to bring. And stay with us. We're going to go to our first break.
All right.
And when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. Once again, the fall is when we're talking about the opening of the Gordie Howe International Bridge and what it could mean for Northwest Ohio when we come back. Welcome back here on Leading Edge. Coming up in just a few minutes, your household budget made easier. But first, back to Bruce Rumpf and this fall's expected opening of the Gordie Howe International Bridge. I said you are part of this group that is so excited, I guess, about the possibilities of what this bridge brings. Talk about the grouping and talk about kind of the, I guess, the energy that's building.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, when I first came up with Okanda Fest, which is not a 2 or 3 day festival. This is year-round economic development, okay, and the opportunity that exists with it. No matter where I go, people are all over this. But by the way, no one in Columbus is. I've been with Senator Husted. I've been with governors that are running when Yost was running. And
you said Vivek Ramaswamy?
They have no idea about this because they're not on 75. So they have no idea about this. But the groups, no matter where I go, first of all, Paul Toth retired, 30 years at the port, amazing leader in our community, going to be missed.
Most recently Connect Toledo, obviously.
Yep, Connect Toledo. And so we basically, DTID, which is Downtown Toledo Improvement District, I'm treasurer of that, and we fund everything in the downtown that you see. By the way, Jeff, I think it's important that the consultant that just came in said he's never seen a cleaner downtown with no graffiti or little graffiti and very little homeless. It's because of our block by block clean and safe crews that are out there doing that. We're engaging the homeless under the bridge, okay? So we're doing a lot of really good things.
I think that's a good read, although, you know, there are pockets. They exist out there as far as homelessness is concerned.
Sure.
We were talking a little bit about the development of downtown.
Right.
And why is this bridge part of that and the future?
It's because of what it will deliver. And here's an example. James Holloway, the new president of the University of Toledo, needs students. Canadians want an American experience, okay? They want an American experience. From this new bridge, they're going to be able to, and their family, be able to travel so much quicker than they would have by the Ambassador's Bridge. Sometimes they didn't even do it because it would be like the wrong time to do it. There's also huge medical things.
I got to stop you there for a second.
Yes.
And I told you, there are people out there who are saying, there is the Ambassador Bridge, there is the tunnel, there are ways that we are already connected. Why does this one make such a difference?
The Ambassador's Bridge is very antiquated. It has absolutely no technology on it. Anybody that is in the commercial end of things will tell you is that they actually close hours. They have to redirect the commerce to try and bypass it. They don't want to use the tunnel. So
it's archaic. It's
really,
a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's a dinosaur. And technology is trumping everything. Let's face it. That is the key to it. And so when I talk about the development, you know, and Jeff, I was mentioning off camera is that I just want to tell people that when I started my career, we had very few developers that were interested in doing anything in the downtown. I just kind of looked at my list today. You know, we have Crane Development, which is Matt Rubin and Julia Randall's unbelievable company. We have Danny Dimakowski of Foundation Steel, whose whole company is moving from Swanton and Mosier Construction from Maumee to the downtown. He's doing buildings. We have Nick Ide. We have Kevin Prater. By the way, these are 2 Lansing kids. And I once said to him, why are you doing so much in Toledo versus Lansing? They have Michigan State, it's the capital. He said there's no buzz there. There's a buzz here that they want to be part of.
It's interesting.
Okay, you have the Marks. You have people like ARC, Kevin and Mijalewski and his wife. I'm probably leaving some people, the Ball brothers, for crying out loud, the Ball brothers who've done so much. We have, and these are just 8 developers that are doing things in the downtown.
We got about a minute 45 left. Let me ask you, tariffs and your concern going forward, does that handcuff this bridge at all, or the commerce or the economic development?
It's the greatest thing that could have happened, in my opinion, and Colin Bird, who's the Canadian Consul General who we're working with on
And
that.
you're saying this as a registered Democrat?
As a registered Democrat, yes. And we do hope to get the Prime Minister, Carney, and also Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, here for this, is that it's kind of like relationships. Sometimes you and your spouse, you and your kids, you and your grandkids have a blip on the chart, and you have to evaluate your relationship, and you figure out what's good and maybe what needs a little tweaking. Tariffs are nothing more than something we need to look at. And if there's a rebalancing or something along those lines, it will happen. But these are 2 great countries who happen to love each other. And our theme for O Canada Fest is we love Canadians. And they've already cut travel. I mean, $19 billion have already been cut out by Canadians not wanting to come here because of the insults of the 51st state or calling the Prime Minister governor. So Toledo has a connection, though, with the team.
When are we going to hear more about O Canada Fest?
Okay, so we have...
It's got 15 seconds.
Christine Michaels came in for Connect Toledo. Hollywood Casino's in. RGP is in. I mean, we've got so many players in there. And the fundraising, I'm just doing myself. I'm not going to the public. I'm just going out and raising myself. I'm not giving away anything.
And it's growing. And it's growing.
And it's growing.
And the bridge is opening in the fall. Bruce, great to talk to you.
Okay,
we appreciate the insight. Stay right there. We've got more to come, including next on Leading Edge. Listen.
You're going out, you're buying a coffee, you're running your errands, you're going grocery shopping. You don't want to constantly be writing down what's going on. If you have a budgeting app, it's going to streamline that.
All those subscriptions for things you're not even using, the hows and the whys of budgeting in 2025 next. Welcome back. Do you ever wonder where your money goes each and every month, or are you surprised by subscriptions that you forgot you had? Me too. That's why I reached out to cardrates.com personal finance expert Bobbi Rebell.
This is a great time to be having this conversation because we're about halfway through the calendar year. And we know so many people, their New Year's resolution is to be more mindful with their money. So they'll start and they'll set up a budget and they'll tell people and they're going to say, okay, I'm going to be on track. And then they sort of fall apart. I mean, recent data has shown about 84% of people, these are people that have budgets, admit that sometimes they go over budget. That, by the way, is a NerdWallet statistic. So life is busy. And the key is to really be realistic about whatever systems you put in place. So it's good to have the intention, but you have to be honest about how well you're going to be able to execute it.
Obviously, sitting here in 2025, it's not like when you and I grew up. There are a lot of assists out there. Talk about these budgeting apps that exist and how they can help, why they can help.
Well, that is great news. There are tools out there that simply did not exist years ago. So we have a lot of resources, but you have to know what you're looking for when you are going to look at budgeting apps, because a lot of them aren't free. And we can talk about how I feel about the costs and stuff. So first of all, like I just said, look at the cost. I have very conflicted feelings sometimes. I'm going to be honest with you as an expert about the cost, because it's great to get things for free. We don't want to pay for things that are unnecessary. And of course, these are another subscription that might be adding to your subscription costs. But remember, when you're looking at the cost of different budgeting apps, that if you are not the revenue stream for the company that's putting out the budgeting app, something else is. And I do want people to be aware that in general, companies do collect data and they do sell data, and that is a revenue stream for them. So if you are not paying for an app, think about that very carefully. And also, while some budgeting apps do have free tiers, very often to get the most out of them, you do want to go to the premium model and have the full suite of resources. You also want to look at, what it's going to do for you. So what is a budgeting app going to do? It's going to help you track your spending. So important. Life gets busy, as we discussed. You're going out, you're buying a coffee, you're running your errands, you're going grocery shopping. You don't want to constantly be writing down what's going on. If you have a budgeting app, it's going to streamline that and gather the data for you. It's going to make your life a lot more easier. It's going to make things a lot more transparent. The other thing that budgeting apps help you do is they help you set goals. So you may say, well, my goal is just to have more money, right? I just want to have more money. I want to feel better. I want to have all the money in the world so I can buy everything I want and have total financial security. But the truth is, you're going to be a lot more consistent and get to your goals a lot more quickly if you have something that is specifically tracking. My goal is to, have, enough money left over for a vacation. My goal is to have enough to start investing, to start saving for my kids' college, whatever specific goal you may have, a house down payment, very popular one.
That kind of touches on the motivation factor of all of this. And through that, you say they also reduce stress.
Exactly. Motivation is huge because when you see the numbers adding up and you see the progress you're making, that's going to give you a lot of inspiration and motivation. It's going to lower your financial stress. It's going to increase your financial wellness. And the other thing is it also gives you accountability because the numbers don't lie. And so if you see the numbers, you might be like, oh, I didn't really spend that much. I'm doing great. But many people don't realize they think they spend a certain amount. And when the numbers actually come out, it's often double, triple, sometimes quadruple what they think they're spending because of this drip, drip, drip that goes on as we just go through life.
What are a few of the popular ones out there? What are a few of the ones that have really grabbed your attention over the years?
Yeah. So one that I happen to really like very much, although there's a very big learning curve, is called YNAB. That stands for You Need a Budget. That's kind of the I kind of started backwards because that's kind of the advanced one, but it is one that I think is going to give people the most benefit. It can be expensive, but it does deliver. And I do think that the flexibility of it, the customization, the user interface, which is something people should be looking at, is really valuable. On the other end, the sort of more simple one is Monarch, which is much more straightforward, much easier to set up, and it's going to get you going faster. And to some people, getting going is everything because you don't want to lose steam and you want to stay motivated. The other thing I want to talk about, Jeff, is that this is not usually a solo exercise. So for example, there's an app called Honeydew, which is geared towards couples. And I think it's important to be getting the other stakeholders in your financial life on board. And that's something like Honeydew can do. The other apps as well, they're just not as directed towards it because you may have the best intentions as an individual person, but if your budget, your income and your spending, if it's not a solo exercise, if you're part of a couple, then it's really important to get everybody on board, all of the stakeholders, and hold everybody accountable and hopefully motivate each other because your goals will be overlapping. So it's important that this not only be you. I know sometimes we feel like we're an economy of one, but sometimes it is sort of a more, I would say, a group ecosystem, a financial ecosystem with many people involved, many stakeholders. And if you can get everybody on board, you're going to be a lot more successful.
Simplify by quicken another one out there. Is it the
Yes.
ease? Is it the simplicity? Is it the fact that they're everywhere? We're talking subscriptions now. Is that why we fall prey?
Yeah, it is. The truth is, subscriptions are so tempting because, first of all, they almost always seem to come with a free trial period, which I personally have been lauded so many times because you do want to try it. And you're usually looking at it at a time of need when this is going to solve your immediate problem. So you sign up, you want to see a certain article or you want to use a certain app. So you sign up, but then you forget about it, right? Or it might be at the beginning, it's a certain initial lower fee to pay, and then they're going to jump the fees. So it's really important that you keep track of the sign up offers that may be expiring, the free trials, and this is the killer, Jeff, the auto renewal. Because once they've got your credit card in the system and you have opted in, which you almost always have to do to get these free trials, you've opted into the auto renewal, you may miss. There's usually a reminder saying, okay, in 7 days, you're going to be billed. That may filter through your system. We get so many emails. So it's really important to make sure that you turn off the auto renew. You need to go into your system and turn off auto renew, hopefully well in advance if you don't want that. I like to set calendar reminders right when I sign up for a free trial. So it's there and I can cancel 24 hours before the renewal. A lot of us hesitate to do that because we're afraid that if we've uploaded data, maybe we've uploaded videos or favorite photos, we're afraid that we'll lose access to that. That's a valid fear. You need to look at how that app works. Maybe a lower level subscription tier will still maintain that access, maybe even free access, or maybe they'll bring you back on board at a lower rate. So that's worth looking at as well.
So how do we get rid of all these unwanted subscriptions?
Okay, so the good news is there are apps that will do it for you and take away almost all of the heavy lifting. Names like Rocket Money is very popular, also Hiatus. The bad news, and this is big red flag I want people to be very aware of is they get paid for the work they do. So you have to think about whether you want to DIY it or bring them in. Now, they will only get paid on the work that they do. So if they save you, and this is not unrealistic, they might save you $1,000 in a year, right? In terms of subscriptions, renewals, things that you may not know about, they're very often going to take a huge chunk, 30, sometimes 50, sometimes more than 50% of what they save you in the first year. And they're going to bill you for that. So that is a real cost. That said, if they're saving you money you wouldn't have saved anyway, you're still saving money. So it may be worth it. That said, you can DIY a lot of it by going into your credit card bills, your bank accounts, and looking for those recurring charges yourself, and then going in. Some of the apps can do it automatically. Some of them will really just present you with, here's how to cancel the subscription. You're still going to have to do the legwork anyway. So proceed carefully, know what the costs are, read the fine print, and also know, this is really important, those are, again, recurring subscriptions.
I don't want to let you go without mentioning Launching Financial Grown-Ups, and tell me what it's about and where people can get it.
Thank you so much. Well, Launching Financial Grown-Ups was a follow-up to my first book, which is How to Be a Financial Grown-Up. That was for young adults learning how to navigate the world of being a financial grown-up, all the adult responsibilities. And what I realized when I went out talking about that book was that the parents wanted to get involved, and they wanted to be able to teach their kids and have those conversations about how to move into adulthood and be responsible financial grown-ups. So this is a book aimed at parents, specifically teaching them about money and learning from life lessons. And it's important to remember, a lot of parents come to me and they say, well, I didn't do such a great job. I don't know what I'm talking about, so I don't feel like I can educate my kids. First of all, the book will help you do that. But they also learn from your ups and downs, and being a little bit transparent with our children about the things we might have done differently in retrospect is such a priceless lesson for all of us.